Good morning guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to give you a quick run through the Android head unit that's recently gone into my E39. Hopefully you've seen the previous video. If you're looking for more information about the installation process into an E39, check that one out. But yeah, I've been using it for just over a week now and I reckon it's got to be one of the best mods, not just for an E39, but for lots of cars. So yeah, I want to run through it quickly and actually show you what it's like to live with and some of the benefits of having one. As it's actually Australia Day here today, so it is warm and muggy in January in Queensland. So I'm going to jump in and I'll put the AC on because I'm sweating already. And to do that, I'll show you the actual boot time for the unit so you can see what it's like. Also, keep in mind that I've set this unit up to run everything via with 3G or 4G, just using data for everything. So I'll show you the process too, because I haven't got a Wi-Fi hotspot in the car. I share my my phone data. So basically the process before jumping into the car, usually as I'm leaving home or whatever, I just swipe down from the top, click on that, I just hit hotspot discoverable, and then that's it. Then I jump in the car, start it up. So this is its boot time, which can feel like a long time, but so there you go. I haven't got a reversing camera plugged in, but typically what happens, because I'm always parked in a garage or a car parking spot, sorry, I'll just get out of reverse. So what typically happens is you jump in the car, start it up, and I hit reverse to reverse out the garage, and it goes straight to the reversing camera mode, which is what you saw there where it said no signal, because my reversing camera hasn't arrived yet, so it's not plugged in. So when the unit finally does start up, it reverts back to the last used program, which in that case was the DVD player mode. I don't know if you saw it there, but it come up there and it just starts playing music. By DVD player, it's just the CD slot at the top here. I've actually got an MP3 disc in there. It reads MP3s, DVDs, CDs, rewritable CDs, pretty much all file formats and codecs and everything. It just reads straight away, so it's actually quite nice to have. Now you may have seen this here. I've actually only just installed that literally 2 days ago, this BMW skin. So I'll jump back out of that, I'll go to the home screen. This is actually what it looks like when you first install it and get it running. I was really impressed with its ability to just plug it in and start using it straight away. This is basically how it looks, and the only thing I've done here is set the date and time and saved the YouTube icon down the bottom. This is how I actually ran it for the first week of driving the car with this head unit in. So basically that's your applications folder there, and these are all the apps that come on the unit. I have added a few, like Audible there. That car launcher, that's that one that it booted into before, which I've only just installed. I'll show you a little bit more on that a bit later, but if you don't have a BMW, obviously you won't be interested in that. So again, this is what the unit comes with initially. Now keep in mind, it is an Android device, so you just go to the Google Play Store, and that's where you can find all of your normal Google applications, which is brilliant and very handy. And other than that, the device itself does actually come with some pretty handy apps. SWC, just quickly, that is the steering wheel controls. So the idea is you can go into there and you can select the button, and then you press the button on the steering wheel and that links it to it. However, I haven't had to do any of that. All the volume controls and the next track and the next station, etc., all worked just from plugging it in straight away. I didn't have to do anything. Tpms is a pretty cool application and function that it comes with. It's for tyre pressure monitoring system. Okay, she's loading a little bit slowly today, but that's all you have to do. I think they're around $100, but they're just little devices you can put on each of your wheels and tyres, and it just monitors the temperature and pressure in all of the wheels and tyres. So if you think you've got a flat tyre, you can see exactly what the pressure's at. You haven't got to actually get out and check, and it will also warn you if you do have a flat tyre. Or if it drops below a certain pressure. So I think I might actually buy that, because I think that'd be pretty cool to have. Waze, obviously that's pretty handy for journeys. You can see where the speed cameras are. I'll show you what it looks like quickly. So it's relatively quick to load. It's connected to my phone's hotspot. So there it is. And it's literally just like using Waze on your phone or anything else. Other things that it comes with, all your standard sort of stuff like calculators, calendars, compasses, which, I mean, they're cool to have on the car's dashboard, but I don't think you'll ever actually use them. DVD, that's what I mentioned before about the CD slot up there, and it reads DVDs and CDs, etc, etc. There's also Google. I mean, it's got a full web browser, so you can use Google Chrome. Google Maps, that's what I've set up as the actual default navigation system for it. So because I bought this unit because it looks like it mimics the factory original display with all these hard buttons. You can get ones that are a full touchscreen, but I wanted it to look somewhat factory, and it's worked out really well by actually having these physical buttons and knobs down the side, because wherever you are, say you're you're in the clock application for whatever reason, you can just click the navigation button and it will take you straight to whatever application you've got set as the default navigation application, which for me is Google Maps. You can then jump straight to the phone menu. Bang, straight away. Whilst we're on the topic of the phone capability, I was actually really impressed with how well it works. So it does have Bluetooth connectivity and also Bluetooth music. Bluetooth music is just for connecting your phone to it and then listening to songs, obviously, via Bluetooth. But the Bluetooth phone application works really well. I was quite impressed. It's got this tiny little microphone down here, but on the back it's got an input for an external microphone. So I was thinking this one might barely be usable, or might be hard for the people on the other end of the line to hear you. But it's actually really, really effective and really clear in this car. So when you're driving along, because the phone's tethered to the head unit via Bluetooth, if somebody rings you, it comes up on the screen, whatever's playing, if it's YouTube or music or whatever, stops, and it says the caller is calling you. You can pick up either on the screen or the pick up button, and you can end the call by the hang up button. If you want to make a call while you're driving, you can just use Siri and say, hey Siri, call such and such, or you can go into the Bluetooth app like I did there, but again, because it's got the hard button, you can just press the phone straight in there, and then your contacts, like that. I literally just plugged this in, installed YouTube, Google Maps, Audible, Spotify, Google Play Music. So all I did was install a few applications that I wanted on the device. I connected it to my phone via Wi-Fi and saved my phone's hotspot so that they would connect automatically, and then started using it. That's it. It was ready. All the steering wheel controls worked, everything. But if you do want to start playing with stuff, actually one thing I did have to do is go into settings here. And so these are your typical settings that you would have on any Android device. Obviously your Wi-Fi network and internet. So apps and notifications, display where you can change colors and wallpapers, etc. But because this is a head unit for a vehicle, it does have a car section as well. So this is where you can choose your default applications when you press certain buttons. And in driving settings, there you go, watching video. So if you have that turned off, if you're driving the car and you're trying to get onto the YouTube application or anything that has video in motion, it won't display. So to turn that off, yeah, you literally just hit that button there and then it starts working. It's also got a full built-in amplifier, and I was really surprised by that. I thought because it's an Android device and not a dedicated, like for example, it's not an Alpine or something that, you know, is really focused on good audio quality, I wasn't sure what the audio was going to sound like. But I'll put the specs up of this unit, but it's turned out to be a really good unit. And it obviously has a really good sound processor as well, because just by tuning it a little bit, these are still the stock speakers, and the stock stereo in this, although it was a very well spec'd 5 Series BMW, it sounded pretty terrible with the stock stereo. But by putting it to this, adding a subwoofer, it has got a sub output as well, you can really tune it so it pulls the bass out of the speakers in the car, which gives you a lot more volume, and then it puts the bass through the sub in the back. So you actually get a lot of volume and a very clear, very high clear audio quality as well. I was really impressed with that. Element's quite handy. Oh, that's not Element. Element, there you go. So there, you can change the colors of everything. I'll just turn the headlights on now. I don't know if you can see that, it's still obviously daylight here, but all the buttons have blown up red, so they match up with all the other BMW buttons. And depending on what car you have, if you buy a universal, just a universal doubled in Android head unit, obviously you can match it. You can match the colors to match your vehicle. But mine are red, so I'll leave it as that. And again, it was set to that by default, which was handy. The other thing that works straight away, just by plugging it in, is so when you turn the headlights on, the screen dims. Again, you might not notice it because it's quite sharp, quite bright here at the moment, but I'll turn the headlights off again. Boom, and there you go, it gets a bit brighter. Now you can obviously adjust the brightness as well with that there. So I've got it set to, and it's really easy to set actually, I've got it set to 100% brightness when the headlights are off, and then when you turn the headlights on, full dim. And if I change that to there, and then turn the headlights off again, it'll go back up to max, because that's where I've got that set. And when I turn the headlights on again for nighttime driving, it goes back to where I set it. So it's incredibly easy to set. But I'll put it back there because that's how I like it. Although this is, I mean, this is a 2002 model BMW 5 Series, and back in the day it was spec'd really well. It was a very expensive car. I mean, the original stereo actually looked like this, and it had inbuilt satellite navigation system. It's got an Alpine DVD player on the roof, all from BMW. But it still had none of the features that this thing has. It's still a world apart. So by installing this relatively cheap unit, it's really brought this car into the 21st century. And what I've done recently, because it is a BMW, I found you can skin these because they're Androids, and this little thing here, this car launcher, so it's designed to look like a modern BMW. It's got this little speed display, and a trip meter, which it just uses the GPS to show you speed, which is why it thinks I'm doing a kilometre now, which obviously I'm not. So it's not completely accurate, but it's nice to have up there. And I've got it so that the second the unit boots up, it just loads this straight away. So this is how it looks. And obviously I've got YouTube, Audible, Google Maps, Waze, Spotify, Play Music, and then the Bluetooth button there. So you can just click on stuff there. And if you want to add more applications, you can just click Add. That's all the applications I've got on the device. You know, I can add anything there I want, YouTube Music, the weather, Red Bull TV. But to be honest, that's probably all I'm ever going to use anyway. A few other handy shortcuts that these units have that are useful when they're in a vehicle is this little button here. So that shows you all the applications that are running, and you can just swipe across to close them. But by having that little button, you haven't got to go back to the home. You haven't got to go back to the home screen and then find the application again and go all through it. You can just go bang like that. Then you're back in settings again. And the other useful one is the little picture of the monitor with an X in it. If you're driving at night and it's a bit too bright for you, if you're on a highway where there's no streetlights or something, or if you just don't want to, you know, say you've got YouTube on, which often is a very white page, so it's quite bright at night, but you're not actually watching it, you just want it for the audio, you can just hit that button and then the monitor turns off. Then once you tap it again, it comes back on. So if we go home, you just go bang, like that. So that's pretty handy. There's lots of little shortcuts like that. Anyway, in summary, they're a brilliant unit. I'm really surprised with how user-friendly it's been and just what you can actually do with these things. So if you've got any questions about these units or about the Androids in the E39s or just general universal Android units, don't be afraid to ask us. Just put it down in the comments and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.